The second need that rituals provide is the need for closure through difficult transitions. Grief is probably the hardest experience a human has to go through when it comes to transitions, because it marks a very clear before and after in our lives that we cannot undo. Someone was here and 24 hours later, they are gone. Maybe it was a sudden death or a breakup, but life as we knew it ends and something unfamiliar begins. This is what thinker and psychologist Farid Diek would call having an encounter with the absurdity of life, because we start this battle with the things that we cannot control. It's the most humble experience a human can have with reality. What makes loss so destabilizing is not the loss itself, but is the eternal unanswered questions that we will carry with us for the rest of our lives. And there are moments in which language collapses, logic is completely irrelevant, and the mind is just trying to keep up with what the heart has just experienced. This is where rituals become essential, and I have experienced this myself, but I see this every single day also in the day closing. Sometimes they expected the day to bring them something different, and for whatever reason, they didn't accomplish what they wanted in their recovery process that day. And the day closing is the space that symbolizes precisely that. A closure. It says tomorrow there will be another chance to build more, to progress more, or maybe just to pause and reflect. But today is gone, and we are going to celebrate and honor whatever has happened today. It's a constant exercise of humility and acceptance of the things that we cannot change or control, as the Serenity Prayer also invite us to reflect at the end of the ritual. And doing this in a collective context is super powerful. Rituals gave shape to experiences that otherwise would feel infinite and unbearable. They mark the end of a chapter and the beginning of another one, when we are still trying to cope with how to live in that new one. And it sets an intention that even if we don't know how to live in that new chapter, it says, I give myself permission to have a new beginning, and I accept that life as I knew it no longer exists. This doesn't apply only to death. We grieve many things. We grieve relationships. We grieve identities, careers, versions of ourselves, and futures that we will never have. Every major transition asks the same question, which is, how do I let go of what was without losing myself in the process? Under this same question, I have created my most requested session at work. It's a let go practice that I have called Letter to the Unmet Needs and Unfairness of Life. It has become famous for being the toughest in emotional and spiritual terms, but also the most liberating. It's a letter addressed to life itself, as you can imagine, and its major purpose is for us to let go of the hidden desires of our souls, maybe desires that have been with us and we have been carrying with us for as long as we can remember. Those things that we secretly wished would have never happened but did, or things that we longed for but we will never be. As Dr. Chefali Savari says, it's not only what happened to us that we carry with us, but also what didn't happen that should have happened. This is a session to give yourself permission for a new start in your life. This is done by bringing into consciousness things that maybe you are not conscious about in some areas of your life. And maybe you're waiting for something or someone to give it to you. Maybe closure, maybe transition, or maybe permission to do or be someone. I'm going to leave you the practice, this let go practice, in the description box. Basically, it consists of 3 parts. The first one, of course, is the writing of the letter. The second one is when we provide a container somewhere where we are going to do that ceremony. And so we set candles and we do this gezellig, as Dutch people say, atmosphere. So it becomes the place where we are going to celebrate and honor that new transition. And the last part is the ownership ceremony, where we take our letters, we read them out loud, or maybe sometimes we only share a little fragment. Some people decide not to share anything, and that is more than okay. We normally do this outdoors so we can burn the letters. And after we have read all the fragments or the pieces of it that we want to share, we take ownership over our lives. And this is the most crucial moment on the ceremony, because it's when we say out loud the affirmations of ownership. We take the reins over our lives. This is so beautiful. It's when people start saying things like, I give myself permission for. So, for example, a person who has been dealing his entire life with trusting other people, they say out loud, today I give myself permission to trust other people and do what I never was capable of. It's really beautiful and it's really magical. And at this point, everyone is really crying and sobbing. I would suggest you do in a group context. And if you also want to do it alone, it's more than okay. I have a version that I do individually and I call my Ukrainian ritual. And this is also coming from the Ukrainian culture and how much I've been influenced by Ukrainians because of a project I was doing back in 2022 for Ukrainian refugees here in Malaga. And I discovered about this ritual that they have that marks the end of the Christmas period, which is like a kind of baptism. And so what I do is I write a letter to my old version, the version at the beginning of 2025, and I say goodbye to the parts I no longer need. So what I do is I write a letter, I burn that letter close to the sea, and then I baptize myself into the sea, and then I come out of the sea and write a letter for the new version of me who is going to be born in that moment. It gives me permission to see a new Eva. It's really liberating to do this every single year. I can also provide that ritual that I just mentioned if you want in the description box. Just let me know in the comments.